Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Decided not to do this episode live on Twitch because I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. Thought I was feeling pretty sick during the stream, but managed to hold out till a little bit after. Got some food in me, got a little smoothie right here my girlfriend brought me. She brought me this braised beef soup also from Din Tai Fung. Oh, that's good. That's some good stuff. But I didn't want to do this one live just because I can probably just speed through thanking the Patreon supporters, of course, and then we can go into it. Looks to be about 9 questions, and we can wrap this video up. There's some text writing, some script writing I want to get in the works because with my recent trip to New Jersey, I did take some time to actually plan out some stuff for the next several months, some bestiary ideas, some of them getting a little bit more into the specifics of certain characters. We still have a bunch of job bestiaries to do. Races, Yojimbo guide before the fight's actually released, but without spoiling who the actual boss is. Plus a few other ideas here, some plans for Blue Mage, more job versus updates, just a bunch of stuff. Managed to plan it out, and I want to get some of that stuff in the works. But anyway, let's get started with shouting out our supporters over on Patreon. We of course have our patrons of light, those who have gone above and beyond to fight #demonetize. All of you are appreciated. These people have just gone super supportive, more so than I would have ever asked for in any way on Patreon, and that is Khuja Cross on Jenova and Kurenai Oni. Both of them are going to have images. Khuja Cross provided a new one for this week. Kurenai, he's just going to be looking menacing on that throne. But thank you both of you for supporting through Patreon and through #demonetized. We do have a long list of sponsors across several other tiers as well. We have our standard sponsors. We have Wabatalia, Alma Elma, Dark Lumina from Jenova, Marianne, Remil Gaming, Sabo Empire, Mizra, Red Wings of the Baron FC from Zalera, Cidus, Oreo and Shiva, Syd Hellwind of Gilgamesh, Afro Ninja from Malboro, Cheesecake from Leviathan, That Lame Weeb. Excuse me, I'm salivating because the smoothie is so delicious. I think it's strawberry and banana. Sorry, Afro Ninja from Malboro, Cheesecake from Leviathan, That Lame Weeb, Ashen Emiya of Cerberus, Fafarian, Rendil, Stevie-Rex, and Neon. We have our elite sponsors. We have Crazed Demeter from Midgard, Raijin Ventinus from Cactar, Carol, Ray, Senchi, Shadowlink on Tonberry, Dom, Asuka Wake from Jenova, Limilla Nelhah of Midgard's Armor, Saren the Fennel Family, Janhyua Yotsuyu, Kifka and the Great Eagles on Exodus, Dark Graver, Kadeyoshi from Khuja, Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rylanator Westaus The Purple Warrior, Adric Red Steel on Exodus, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus FC from Zodiac, Sour Cream and Chives from Jenova, Rynoet Chikara, Gowisha Valfer of Siren, Phoenix Down FC on Goblin, and Saren from Zodiac. Finally, we have our premium sponsors. We have Nyrek Vizsla of the Red, Alchemy, Shinka, Casual Heroes FC on Midgard's Armor, Tatachi Taka on Hyperion, Kano Uzuki from Jenova, Yu Starla on Coral, Sathal, Sarah Frost from Behemoth, Holy Tabasco, Red Thorn Asura, Kraz 015, Mustang, Serenity FC on Ultros, Kat Kazuma, Ignis Fairgun from Excalibur, Blessjo Fanfrit, Not Cordish from Excalibur, Krovos Moonsguard, Private Mikey, Nana Kirasami, Rudy Rudiger, Killer Hackman, Rawl Jr., and Kiltastic Jones. Thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. I'm sure there's a few names on there that may not necessarily be over on Patreon anymore, but I always lose track of them. But either way, those people have supported, at least at some point, one or another. Anyway, thank you. Well, let's get started. We have a few, what seem to be pretty easy to answer questions over on the Dream Network forums, so let's get started. I want to drink more of that smoothie. Anyway, question number 1. Hello, Mrhappy. My FC has been discussing this. I want to know your take on it. Thancred, the only Scion that has undergone job changes, in this case multiple times. Can Thancred be a Warrior of Light? It's not entirely true. Alice, I guess she's not technically a Scion. You know, she is, but she's not really regarded to as such. I would definitely put her in that circle, but she went from her Arcanist over to Red Mage, so I wouldn't say she's the only one, just the most pronounced one. Y'shtola has always been like a White Mage mixed with Astro. The big thing is Thancred's the only one who's ever regularly had a class or job like more directly affiliated with him. All the other characters just break the rules. Like, they just do whatever they want. They're not really like any one particular job. That goes for characters outside of the Scions of Light. I mean, like I said, Y'shtola has always been a mix of a Conjurer, White Mage, and an Astrologian. Papalimo has always had these kind of like supportive tools. Something he had like Embrava back in 2.55 in the part 2. Ida's been most dominantly a monk, but she has some skills that are unique to her, which is why people thought maybe she was a dancer. Like, it's not really a big thing, but Thancred's interesting because he's the only one that's been like, well, I'm a bard. I'm a traveling bard with a gladiator moveset that then had a rogue moveset that then learned a little bit from Yugiri about some ninja-esque stuff, but he still has a lot of his own unique moves as well. So I don't think it really matters. It's not, being a Warrior of Light is not the only way you can job change. It's just those characters pick up fighting styles. They just don't go through like a formal change per se. Question number 2. Happy Monday, mister. Happy Monday to you as well. Are you having a good day? I hope you're having a good day. Other than feeling a little under the weather, kind of wishing I had... oh, actually, I do have these, like, these like things you can put on your head that just stick to there, and they're meant to cool fevers. I might grab one of those, because I think I could use one today. Other than that, it's been a good day. Stream was good. Lunch was good. Day is good. Long-time watcher, first-time post. A while back, I was having a debate with an old 11 friend about what made 11 enjoyable to play and what 14 flat-out does not offer the same experience. Boil it all down, we could all agree with is the freedom and the sub-job system. What I mean is early days in 11, you'd spend hours trying to put together even a decent party with heals, tanks, and at least one refresher and adequate DPS. Sometimes you would be forced to settle with 2 red mage, white mages, or a warrior ninja, or 6/nin and no tanks. Sometimes you made a breakthrough and mowed through mobs. Sometimes it failed massively, but there was excitement in running those experiments. So far, Eureka comes the closest to successfully bringing that flexibility back, along with a lot of other stuff that people mostly dreaded back in the day. Can't say I've been a huge fan of Eureka, but overall I've enjoyed the Logos actions. I was excited to join a Reflect party and joining an all DPS farm party that can heal. It's an interesting idea I hope they build on. Don't expect it. I think Logos actions are a concept you see the devs moving beyond Eureka. No, they've been very clear Logos actions only exist. In fact, I just posted a video, even before you asked this, I think, about why Eureka actions are built that way. And they're built that way because they're only for Eureka. Perhaps in Deep Dungeons type instance. I mean, I guess I could say this. In another place that is very enclosed and not just the general use of the game, something like Logos actions is possible again. But you will not see those in your average dungeons, in your average raids. None of that stuff. That's where you won't see it. Oh, you even referenced that. Yeah, I think the whole point is that they're willing to do things like this in enclosed types of content. You know, things that are very, very contained. But you're not going to see this like in the general sense of the rest of the game. As for the long lead into the question, don't worry, I get plenty of that. No, I don't really see much happening there. I mean, the problem, here's the thing. 11, you kind of just settled for anything you couldn't get. And yeah, it was nice, but we don't have to do that in this day and age is the main thing. In 11, you had to, because the number of people you had to pull from for various types of content was not that, you know, wide. You had to play with everyone on your own server, which I know then brings across the debate of, you know, really getting to know your servers, people respecting each other more because they would definitely see the same people again. Like, I know I've heard it all a million times. The thing is, we did those things because we had to, not because we necessarily wanted to. If you go back to 2004 and you tell me as a Final Fantasy XI player, hey, they're coming out with a system that's going to help you match with parties so you can more easily get to EXP camps with parties that you want, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna take that. No, you mean no more waiting 6 fucking hours because there's no white mages online, or begging a higher level white mage to level sync down or anything like that? I'll fucking take it in a heartbeat. That's why it was something we settled for back then, because there wasn't anything better. Now technology and modernization has given us these things that we no longer have to deal with headaches like that. Those are things that nostalgically it's fun to look back at, those more special scenarios where you mention, you know, taking, you know, 2 supports as opposed to 1 dedicated healer, or taking a subpar tank and just zerging the mobs down. But a lot of the times, like you said, it failed miserably. Was it good when it worked? Yeah, but most people just looked for the exact same types of parties. They'd look for the support, they'd look for the healer, and yes, they'd settle occasionally, but it just wasn't, that didn't make it more fun or more exciting for me. That just made it so it took longer. And I've had days where it was the worst day ever for Final Fantasy XI, then I've had days where it was great. And, you know, I don't need a bad experience to make a good experience better. I could also just have good experiences all the time. That's kind of what I get nowadays. As for the customization aspect, though, no, outside of contained areas, I wouldn't expect anything. And not anything like Logos actions anywhere else. Question number 3. Hey, Mr. Happy, hope you're having a good day. I am. I explained that in the last answer, so I don't need to say it all again. So you know what's going on. You know what's going on. Hope you're having a good day, too. It's maybe more of an opinion, what do you think question. Sorry. At least you apologize for it in advance. I appreciate that. Since they're adding the trust system to 14, what do you think this means for our squadron and battle retainers? Oh, no, I don't think... I mean, this is an opinion question, or what do you think? But I think it's a fair question. There's definitely a lot of bases for stuff like this. It could be cool to take some of these NPCs out in the world, to give another option to level them instead of retainer ventures, command missions, squadron squadron missions, basic training. Not that there's something dreadfully wrong with them, but I like to get more use out of them. No, yeah, this isn't a bad question at all. I think they just continue to operate separately. The trust system's mostly going to be functioning for Shadowbringers content. The squadrons are mostly going to function for, excuse me, got the hiccups for there for a second. What looks to be like 1 to 60 content, 60 to 70 has this gap that kind of needs to open. Maybe squadrons can start doing up to the level 60 plus missions starting in Shadowbringers. Wouldn't surprise me. Retainers, I've always liked the idea of them. Like when we first got squadrons, I was like, but wait, why don't we just have our retainers? Why do we have to recruit new people? And it's just because they're all designed for different functions. Squadrons are designed where the old dungeons actually aren't there for us to level. Those old dungeons are supposed to be for training the squadrons. So it's kind of weird. The way we use them is kind of almost not the intended way, where some people use them to level secondary jobs, but it is very effective, and it's nice that they work that way. So I don't think it means anything. I think maybe they raise the maximum level of the squadrons to 70. Shadowbringers trusts will be from 70 to 80. And retainers will just continue to be retainers. They'll just have their loot list updated. I don't think anything else happens there. Question number 4. Hey, Haps. Hello. Back before Stormblood launched, they took several opportunities to plug new and never before seen in MMO content. Did this ever happen, and what was it? If not, did they ever address why it was cut? So here's the thing. New and never before seen has a lot of meanings. It's going to be something incredibly small. And they didn't flaunt this. They didn't go around talking about this new never before seen content all the time. I think it was brought up once in a Q&A, and maybe somebody asked for it a time later. But even something as simple as the duty recorder could be considered something that's never before seen in an MMO. Not that it's ever been done in other games, but it's definitely not a common function. So there's a few things that it could have been. Stuff like even just the Logos actions themselves, whereas they're fit within Eureka content, which has definitely been done before. The Logos actions themselves could fit in that category, and that's why it's impossible to nail down exactly what they were talking about when they said that. But it was probably something we already have, not something that was cut. It's just not what people, I think it would be something large and massive and super noticeable, but it could have been anything. Even Blitzball, which is coming up in 4.5, that's never been seen in an MMO before. Well, we don't actually know if it's Blitzball yet. I'm just banking on this Friday. They're going to tell us what the new Gold Saucer content is, that other than that gate that they're also adding, which is like a rail shooter. And I have a feeling it's Blitzball. They've talked about Blitzball expansion. They said it's a natural progression of the game to add Blitzball now that they have swimming. I've given up the fact that I don't want Blitzball in the game, but it's probably happening, so I just need to prepare myself for it. That could even qualify as never before done in an MMO. So who knows? I can't say for certain what it is, but I doubt it was anything that was cut, and it's probably something we've already seen or are about to see. Question number 5. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hello. So I've heard the notion several times that people can get away with DPS stance on tanks and selective healing because the fights in the game are scripted. I've heard that as a reason why a pure healer for White Mage will never work, because the game just doesn't require that level of healing when you can plan everything out in advance. So I have 2 questions based on this. 1, should the game ever change its fights to make them pure random, where you don't know when a tank buster is coming, when an AoE appears, when a specific mechanic appears? That you have to be ready to react to anything, so you can't plan in advance. So I'll answer that very rapidly. The answer is no. It doesn't make any sense. So all of a sudden, you're taking all of the skill out of your content and replacing it all with RNG. Because for all you know, you could get 10 minutes straight of tank busters. And you could argue that has its own problems, but I'll take that over any fucking alternative. Imagine if Omega 011, he just did mustard bomb for 10 minutes straight because you rolled RD. Maybe he did mustard bomb for a minute straight. How often do you want these jobs actually taking place? How many mechanics are combined in a single instance of something happening? Because you have to remember, sometimes they do a mechanic and then do something like a tank buster and AoE that's specifically designed to happen with that mechanic. Now, what if that exact combination needs to happen 9 times in a fight for it to repeat? What if it happens 4 times? What if it happens 2 times? Like, there's a lot of people think it's more skill to have to react to something, but making use of what you know and the knowledge that you have to make use of healing, I think requires way more skill. Because you could dude, even in fights that the little tiny bit of RNG that we have in fights nowadays, we all love when those go certain ways. RNG, and then we hate when they go other ways. Just having the entire fight like that is not any more fun. It doesn't make it any more or less. It's still, then all of a sudden people find out, oh, well, one mechanic will happen every 8 seconds. So how many DPS casts can I get in those 8 seconds? Because now it's completely random. your healers may do even more DPS than they ever did, because if they just keep getting mustard bombs on the tank, that's not going to make them have to heal more. That just means they're going to have to throw, okay, well, I have a GCD for this, I have another GCD for that. Okay, I'm still just DPSing. It doesn't matter what order the mechanics happen, doesn't matter when they happen, doesn't matter if they're random, scripted. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is, if you have time to be casting, and you will, you're going to. And honestly, you probably have more time to DPS when it's random. So pure healer would work even less in this scenario if everything was completely random. Because you could just end up in scenarios where you're just DPSing the whole fight because there's like so little to actually heal through and do. Now, if you want to fix the issue of pure healer, you need to script a lot more healing needed, not leave it up to RNG and then pray that it works out that way. That's what you need to do if you want to actually turn that around and make healers be forced to actually output more healing. You need to force it in the first place. As for question number 2, if this did happen, would people enjoy it? Maybe like 1% of people, because it isn't as glorious as it sounds. And I know that a big reason this comes up is because Final Fantasy XI, a lot of the bosses would, they had like 2 or 3 TP moves they would go between. I'll use, I guess, Nidhogg as an example. Like, he could use Hurricane Wing and do AoE damage to everyone in the area, or he could do Fire Breath and no one would take any damage because the way you were positioning, the tanks just didn't take shit for damage from it. So if you get that 10 times in a row, it's like, all right, we don't have to do jack shit. If you get Hurricane Wing 10 times in a row, you're like, stop! Please stop! You're just being annoying for no reason now. It's like, all right, fuck it, I guess I'll just have to heal all these Hurricane Wings. But you're not, like, excited about it. It's just happening in front of you. And then a bunch of bosses in 11 were still scripted. Like, every 10% this will happen. At 75% this happens. At 50%. We couldn't even see percentages in that game without Windower, without just kind of like ACT, without a third-party software to help us with it. And it's still scripted to some degree. Like, that's the weird thing about it, is a lot of, after like Xylart days, 11 was pretty scripted when it comes to a lot of the skills. And even some of the skills that were random have conditions that change as they get lower. So they're more frequent. Like, maybe they generate more TP, or they use TP at 100 instead of 300, or 1,000 instead of 3,000 now. So no, I don't think it would be any more fun. I don't think the average player would enjoy it more, because it's just as frustrating to get bad RNG as it is, oh, thank God we got good. You're not even happy. You're not even like excited about it. You're relieved when you get good RNG, because like, good, I don't have to do half that shit. It's just not healthy. It's just not healthy for game design to do things that way. RNG is rarely healthy for anything except getting people to play stuff longer. Eureka weapons. Sorry. I'm allergic to bullshit. Just to be clear for the next one, I mean bullshit meaning the RNG stats on my Eureka weapon. I do have a 590 crit, 170 direct hit monk weapon now, so RNG is in my favor. Anyway, question number 6. Hey, Mr. Happy, how you doing? I'm doing alright. You doing alright? I'm doing alright. How was your visit to Jersey? It went well. I just spent some time with family. I didn't really see much of anyone. I didn't do anything fancy. Just saw family. Was there for a few events. But yeah. Oh, Patterson. Yeah, I wasn't too far. I grew up in a small town next to Hackensack. So not too far from Patterson. It's like, what, a 15-minute drive in no traffic between Patterson and Hackensack. Anyway, here's my question. From the Primal Data Center, done everything in Pyros except to get the damn mount. I just go there to do bunnies, north and south, but more than a week now, everyone just does south bunnies. Yo, I've noticed this too. I keep wanting to do north buns, but everyone just wants to do south buns. Also, if they're not doing bunnies, they're standing around at North Point waiting for an NM to spawn. That doesn't include the arguments between players in the chat log on why this NM isn't prepped yet, because no one wants to prep, because they decrease the number of NM prepping. So this is something we've spoken about a lot. Bunnies are among one of the most repeatable things you need to do in Eureka. Outside of maybe spawning the bosses for the 6th Magicite, like Skull, maybe Penth also to complete the weapons, but most people just kind of are along for the ride in Eureka, and that's just because that's kind of what they want. And there's nothing you can really do about that. Why the sudden attention for bunnies, and have you seen this happening in your data center? So the bunnies is because offensive logograms is probably the #1 thing that keeps people from actually getting their 50 actions so they can start picking up the armor. Another reason is because the mounts, the hairstyles, they're expensive, they're good money, or people just want them in the first place. You yourself named wanting them out, and if that's their primary focus, that's what they're going to focus on. They're not going to focus on trying to go spawn NMs because they don't really care. Will they go to an NM that spawns? Sure, but it's just not their focus. And it's unfortunate because like I'm in that boat right now where I really just want to do bunnies. Like I will go and get light from the other NMs in the zone, but if I don't make, I have a rule here, and this is the same rule I use with the hunt. If you didn't help spawn something, don't be upset if you don't get rewarded for it. If you are focused on the buns and you don't know if you want to go to the NM and you're like, man, why'd they have to pull that? Why couldn't we have just finished the buns and then go to the NM? You have no right to complain because you didn't help spawn the NM, so you don't innately deserve anything from that. And that's just how I operate in Eureka. There's plenty of times where I have to choose between finishing a bun and going to an NM or trying to greed and get both. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'm just like, all right, well, whatever. You know, I tried to see if I could make that work, and it didn't. But people don't operate under that. People just want to get everything. So buns are they're one of the most needed repeatable things. People don't like trying to prep some of the higher tier bosses like Skull and Penth a lot of the time. And that's all there really is to it. I mean, that's kind of the problem with buns being so good, is they're just, everyone wants to do those. They're also super low. You don't really need a whole lot of a mental investment or a grinding investment to actually do them. You get plenty of great rewards for it. There's so many reasons why the bunnies are so popular, but it's definitely happening in other data centers. It happens on Ether. I'm sure it happens on the other data centers as well. And it probably will happen in Hydatos too, with the only difference being the public dungeon being something most people will probably gravitate towards no matter what. But we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, I mean, your observation's the same as mine. I don't really have too much more to add to that, and just my experiences. All right, question number 7. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hope you're all ready for Xmas. And I'm not the least feel good in the fact that I'm the least prepared I've ever been. Yeah, Mel and I just don't do anything too crazy for Christmas. My birthday's 2 days after. We'll go out to dinner for that. And Christmas, I'll just be like, so what do you want? Because I'm just going to buy the thing that you want, because I'm a terrible, terrible gifter. Back to the question I've asked a few times in relation to advice about starting a stream, podcast, YouTube, and thanks for all the advice so far. No problemo. I'll be honest that the 3 videos I've done on YouTube have kind of borrowed your formula when it comes to discussing patch notes, live letters. Like, I can say I've done 3 recent videos, with the best one coming at just over 1,300 views. That's really good. When I first got started, I remember my first video over 1,000 views. I'm pretty sure it was one of I was doing this like weekly Final Fantasy 14 update thing. Like, it wasn't even in beta yet, but like every time we would get like a new interview or something, like once a week I would report on it. I think it was my Odin video. I'm trying to remember what the name of that series was. It's just so far back. Maybe if I just type in Odin, I'll actually manage to find it. No, show all. Well, yeah, there's 9 videos here, so I should find it. Yeah, I called it my Final Fantasy 14 A Realm Reborn informational. That's what I called it, the informational. And you know, that's how I start. I mean, that's just how I got started. And I remember my first video over 1,000 views. I loved it. I mean, my week 1 informational now has 13,000 views. My informational live letter highlights and thoughts, I mean, a lot of these have plenty of views now. Beta phases 3 and 4 were spoken about, the details for those. And I mean, these were how I got started. So getting 1,300 views on a video is a good place to be a few videos in. Knowing the YouTube side of things, on Reddit have any critical advice about how to improve? That's because it's all pretty generic, the answers on improving. You put more quality into your editing, you get more audio quality, you get a better audio setup. You look for topics that are hotter, so that way you can discuss a greater point. You make videos consistently. Like, all of those things are just factors. What is the magic ingredient? Usually good search engine optimization, tags is a really big thing. Even the descriptions of your videos help people find your videos, so making sure that those have certain keywords to make sure people can find it. And it's just that initial getting discovered, understanding how the YouTube algorithms work, and you know, making a decent looking thumbnail and things like that. It's all generic advice. It's just all also accurate advice, if that makes sense. So, what advice do you have for new content creators that have to ask to start, improve, or crack? I mean, I guess those were all the answers. I didn't even actually read the question. But those are all big things. I mean, you should be pretty proud. So here's the thing. You really just got to start with YouTube as a passion project. I mean, I didn't start doing YouTube with the anticipation of, hey, I'm going to do this for a living. I was doing it because I had spare time, because I just lost my job in New York City because Vodafone bought the company I was working at, and they got rid of 2/3 of the people there, made the remaining people do the jobs of the people they had let go. Oof, that was a rough time for me. And that's why I started doing YouTube. I didn't get into it worrying about how many views I got, or I just had spare time, so I started doing it. And I think that's where you need to get your focus, because while yes, it's great to try and reach more people, it's great to try and make it, meet YouTube's algorithms more. That's important to growing a channel, but make sure that those aren't the only things you're focusing on, because at some point you can focus on those things too much and give up the quality that makes it so that when people do find you, they're not really happy with what they're finding. So keep those things in mind. Make sure you're always handling the tags to your channels. Make sure your description also has a lot of keywords regarding the game itself. The names of the game and the name of the games and the expansion and, what it's actually about. Like, make sure it's a detailed YouTube description that actually has all that information, plus anything else you need to shout out there. But also just don't give up on the quality of the video and work to improve that proportionate to however much improvement you're making on the search engine optimization side of things. As long as you keep making, though, we've seen plenty more people pop up in the Final Fantasy XIV YouTube universe, people who have put their quality really high up there and gotten noticed, and that's definitely going to be the major factor that you're looking to do. Consistency and quality. And then search engine optimization can come after that. So hopefully that's a decent piece of advice. All generic, just all also accurate. Question number 8. Hello, Mr. Happy. I hope you're enjoying the holidays. I will as soon as they start. I'm going to be turning 28 soon. Almost getting to 30. Here are my questions. I'm decluttering my retainers. If you're about to ask me about advice on decluttering, you are not going to get an answer that helps. I have doubt about the level 50 artifact gear. What are the difference between the level 50 and level 90 version? Slight appearance difference and some stats. And I think only the item level 51 can go in the armoire. Or I'm sorry, only the level 45 to 50 set. I think that's the only one that can go in the armoire. I don't mess with the armoire too much, so I could be wrong there. But those are the major differences. 2 in Pyros, how Reflect Party mechanics works. How fast can they collect light? How much light can be stored in the vial? Same as Pagos. Yeah. So the answer to most of those questions is exactly the same. And for Reflect parties, you reflect the fire breath from the blood gliders back, and or reflect the spells back at the winds, at whatever sprites you're actually fighting, because you may not even be doing blood gliders at that point. And they can collect light pretty fucking fast. During Umbral Wind is when it's best, but you can honestly do it when there's no Umbral Wind and just do it on blood gliders, and any light you collect there is still going to be good. I've seen 6 light crystals in 20 minutes from blood gliders. I've seen people get a full 9, which is the maximum you can hold at once in the vial itself. So it depends. Your mileage may vary, but those reflect parties are dope for light farming. All right, and the final question. Like I said, I thought these were pretty easy questions when I glanced over them before we started. Question number 9. Hey, Haps, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Have a good AMA this week. Yes, I forgot to mention that at the start of the video. I'm going to be doing an AMA on Reddit this Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific. A little nervous about it because Reddit and I have always had a bit of heads clashing. My head doesn't clash as much with it anymore as other people seem to have it with me. I made a lot of mistakes early on in my career with Reddit in particular, between making huge self-promoting posts because I didn't know it was against the rules, which is, my own dumb stuff. I saw people posting their own videos on other Reddits, and so I was like, oh, so we can do this. That's just like a normal Reddit thing. Didn't get received well, and then I had a few small bits of drama early on in my career when I didn't know how to deal with trolls, and I let them eat away at my brain. And I've since made peace with actually a lot of those trolls, so it's weird how much it's moved on, but the people who weren't involved are the people who haven't let it move on. So I kind of want to take this as an opportunity to kind of not I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I wanted to almost make peace with Reddit. It's not that I plan to use it any more than I do. I just mostly view stuff on Reddit now, but at least to not back down, I suppose, and to just not be the bigger man, but just be honest, just accept the criticisms and whatnot. I kind of need this for me just as much as I want to have fun with it and answer any of the questions that come out of that AMA. But I would be lying if I didn't say I wasn't nervous about it, because I just know some of the things that are going to pop up there, and I'm going to do my best to not shy away from anything there. It's an ask me anything, and I'm going to try to do my best to make that anything a big part of what I reply to. In 4.5, thanks for telling people to go back to Onimos and made Pagos bearable. Nothing makes Pagos bearable. You're a liar. In 4.5 and beyond, it looks like we're preparing to handling more things on the Eorzean side of the map than the authored side. Are we likely or unlikely to go beyond the One River? Also, if you get the chance to interview 14 staff again, would be great to hear lore questions from Koji and planned takes from Yoshida. I mean, sometimes I do. It depends. When they're really busy between fan fests, it's kind of weird to try and ask for interview times between them because they're constantly going, like, there's a live letter and then there's a fan fest. And then, so, like, a lot of the things I want to ask about, they have to be unrelated to those things, or they need to be timed with those things in such a way that, I guess it's not an overlap of the information that's coming out of those events. So generally it's easier between patches to ask. And I know we're kind of there now, but the timing's kind of off. So I can't really promise anything on that regard. As for the Eorzean side of the map, I mean, they've deliberately tried to keep it secret exactly where the new expansion is going to be taking place. A lot of people believe because it may not be on the source, which is the shard that we're currently on. Although the Raktika Greatwood as well as Amarang are likely areas that we're going to be seeing more of very soon. It looks like Amarang is the location of the main trailer at one point, and then the Gimlet Dark is another location that's actually going to be from the part where we face off against Xenos in the trailer. It's just so hard to tell how deep into Ilsabard will actually end up going. Well, at least know the Gimlet, I can never remember the name. The Gimlet Dark is going to be at least between Alamigo and Ilsabard. It's going to be like a meeting point in between the two, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I just can't wait for the story in 4.5. But it's less about the Eorzean side and more about what's in between the two of them. And that's if we don't also just straight up go to another shard. So there's a lot of questions we have, and at best anything is speculation at this point. And so it's hard to really say anything for certain about anything with Shadowbringers. And right now that's kind of exciting. I hope it kind of stays that way until we start getting more details out of the future fan fests. But anyway, that's the last question over on the forum. So thank you for asking your questions on our Dream Network forums. If you have a question you'd like to guarantee that I see it, go to those Dream Network forums and ask it there. We do have a live letter coming this Friday. That's going to be at 3 a.m. Pacific on Friday, December 21st. I am going to be live streaming, re-live streaming the Reddit Discord translations, and we're going to be discussing that on the spot with a dual stream with the actual live letter. Plus, we'll have a video on that later that same day. It's going to be busy, and I'm looking forward to it because when I'm busy is when I'm happiest. But anyway, thank you again to our Patreon followers as well. Be sure to keep an eye on some new content that's going to be hitting the channel over the next several weeks. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys for the next Mondays with Mr. Happy. And have a good one. Until next time, take care.